So we took an airplane. We left out of port right there by the shop. We left out of the airport. I got a Yeti Panga, like a 65, whatever. I don't forget their sizes.
Yeah.
I had a case of Lone Star beer, had a turtle box. I had Zumo boudin, Zumo sausage from Beaumont.
Yeah.
I bought them a Whataburger, like all Texas stuff. We dropped down to about 90 foot and about 90 to 80 knots.
Okay.
And I opened the door and pushed this Yeti bag out right on top of them. And it hits the bay, but it hits the bay. It bounces 4 times and it didn't explode. So I'm thinking it landed good.
Yeah.
And we circle and we see the skiffs, converge around this deal.
Yeah.
And we go land Port Lavaca and we jump in the courtesy car for the airport and we go have dinner with them.
Welcome to the Bunkhouse Podcast, broadcasting from the confluence of outdoor recreation and nature connectivity. I'm your host, Josh Crumpton, founder of Spoke Hollow Outdoors and the Los Salvaje food truck. My life as a rancher, guide, foodie, and conservationist has provided the opportunity to meet some really great people. And the Bunkhouse is where we get to introduce them to you. Episode number 9. In this episode, my pal Brian Little from Sabine Skiffs joins me. It was awesome to share a glass of whiskey and rap with this guy, my amigo, my homie, the Brian Little. If you don't know about Sabine boats, you better ask somebody, because they are legit. I roll the Sabine. They're badass boats. I love it. It's a river skiff, but it easily handles the salt. You've probably seen it in the Spoke Hollow feed. We call it the Showboat, and she is super duper blue. We get into some of Brian's adventures, including dropping Yeti Pangas with supplies to boats out in the Gulf, the wildest places he's navigated to Sabine, boating rivers, and how he made a concrete canoe. That's right. I said concrete canoe. I didn't realize it either. You can make concrete float. All that. And of course, we're going to get that story of how Sabine Skiffs came to be. As per the usual, let's get this thing started. Brian,
I like that.
It's good to have you out, man.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
It's been like a couple years.
Couple years. You were gracious enough to invite Kaylor, Fisher, and I to the caboose.
Oh, yeah.
And Fisher was, I don't even think she was a year old. She turned 3 this year.
Oh,
So
man.
you had us out, put us on some birds, practice birds for Fisher, and we were grateful for that. She's become a heck of a hunter for me. So
Yeah. She's a great dog.
yeah.
And you had that pretty gun with you.
I did.
What's that gun that you shot?
That one was a Parker reproduction.
Oh, nice.
And I want to get into that in a podcast because my love for side-by-sides grew through people I've met through this, building skiffs and Bauman propellers.
Mm-hmm.
Corey Bauman turned me on to antique shotguns.
Turned you into a fanatic. An
Yes,
antique
sir.
shotgun fanatic.
I was.
Have you
I
been
might-
on a big chucker hunt yet?
I have yet.
Man,
I
let's
have yet
go.
to. I would love to go with y'all.
That'd be fun. We should do that.
Y'all
this
do
fall.
some good
Oh, you
ones.
know what? I have something for you. Hold on just a second. There's a couple of the Spoke Hollow caboose stickers for you since you stayed at the caboose.
A lot of my fans don't know about the caboose. So there's some history with that.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to hear the story of the caboose. And
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so the caboose, that doesn't get out there very often because that's kind of a friends and family hangout spot. Sometimes we do an auction or a giveaway here and there where we let people stay at it. But the caboose is a Missouri Pacific rail car that my father-in-law brought out. He brought 3 semis is what it took to get it on the ranch. One of them to hold the caboose, one of them to hold the rail tracks, and another one with a crane to put them in place. And they brought that thing out here. They had to cross the whole ranch because they couldn't make the turn off the road. I always tell people, I'm like, hey, you can come stay in the caboose. And I've been told that I undersell it because people get there and they're like, man, this is cool.
This is actually, yeah. So before Sabine Skiffs, I built rail terminals for a major oil and gas company.
Okay.
So building, rail terminals rail lines.
Yeah.
And then being able to stay at the caboose.
Was that cool?
It was cool. It tied it all in to my life.
Yeah.
So it meant more. It meant a lot to me, not just to hang out with you on your place, but the caboose, my previous jobs.
It's fun.
It meant a lot to me to be able to sleep in that, and hang out with Kaylor. It was nice.
Well, I hope you come back this fall and hang out with us
Fisher
again.
would love it.
Yeah, you should. You should come. We should upland hunt.
Yeah.
And you guys should come and stay a couple nights at the caboose. I would love that. So you mentioned that you were working on rail terminals. You're an engineer, right? Is that right?
Civil engineer by trade.
Yeah.
Growing up, as a kid, you think about what you want to be when you grow up. Never in my life did I say I wanted to be a civil engineer. It just, I thought I wanted to build houses. I thought I wanted to ranch. I was not the type of person that just had his life mapped out. Neither one of my parents went to college. They've helped my older three brothers through college, and to get the opportunity I had when I did, a lot of my peers in high school were going to be engineers. I hung out with some nerdy, smart, athletic guys.
Yeah.
And they all wanted to be engineers, so I wanted to be like them. Thought I wanted to go electrical engineer because my older two brothers were doing electrical stuff. And then when I got into the academics of electrical engineering, I didn't get it. I couldn't see electricity. But it morphed into civil engineering. It's almost the same mathematics.
Yeah, so what is civil engineering specifically?
So a lot of civil engineering, or to describe it, is roads, sewer, drainage, structure, things like that.
Okay.
And a lot of the math is similar to electrical engineering, flows of electricity and currents and things like that. But in civil engineering, it's more water. So I could see that. I just my mind grasped it and understood it better. Mm-hmm. So about my junior year of college, not going to say how many years it took to get to my junior year. But
that's okay. We won't get into mine either.
And so I fell into civil engineering and landed on a small civil engineering firm. I think it was like 6 of us. The one thing that kept me in that area was the hunting and fishing.
That's what I was about to ask.
It wasn't just the money. It wasn't just the jobs.
So this is Port Arthur.
This is Port Arthur, Texas.
How old are you at this point in time?
I'm 21, 22.
Okay. And had you been into hunting and fishing already before?
Oh, yeah. I grew up on a ranch with my father managed a ranch for a guy. So we grew up running cattle on this place. We hunted. The landowner gave us a certain amount of property on the place for us to hunt because he knew if he didn't give us that place, we'd probably hunt the whole thing. But he was generous enough to say this, 40, 50, 70 acres of this place is y'all's to hunt and do whatever.
That's cool.
So as a kid, I rode my bike during deer season with a rifle over my shoulder. My dad gave me free range, just as long as my studies were there. Mm-hmm. I had a rod and reel, a rifle, and a bike, or a ranch truck, or one of our personal vehicles to just go.
That's cool.
And I would come home, get my studies done, or not, as a kid, And a lot of times I would grab a rifle during deer season, go to our little piece where we could hunt, but I always had my fishing pole. And I would hunt a little bit. I had buck fever one year where I hunted real hard, but a majority of the time I fished.
Ducks?
A lot of ducks. Our type of duck hunting back then was not decoys and setting them out.
You just jumping them?
We were jump on. We would set in the evenings, and wait for them to come in. But when I got in college in Southeast Texas and met so many people who are into duck hunting, and they're talking about the type of ducks they're shooting, and my brother would shoot mallards with his bow. Like we had many ducks.
Holy cow. That's great.
What I know now about duck hunting, if I knew that when I was 10, 12 to 15 years old, I was in a duck hunting mecca.
Yeah.
I could have shot so many mallards. Wood ducks were easy because they had swampland in this place with, pin oaks, live oaks.
Man.
and the
So
wood ducks were
all
by the
over,
hundreds.
probably. Yeah, all over.
And then you had gadwall, pintail,
widgeons,
and,
probably.
yeah, and widgeon, and then mallards though.
Yeah.
And my brother, we were shooting mallards with a bow and not knowing what we had. It was that, but that's in the 80s, early 80s, mid 80s. And if I was the hunter then that I am now, I would be a different hunter.
It's interesting. That's growing up in Telluride. I rock climbed, kayaked, skied. I didn't hunt at all during that time period. And looking back on it, there's birds, there's grouse, there's elk. Man, I wish. It's funny looking back on your childhood, the places you're at, you don't realize
how good we had it.
Yeah.
And but I wasn't into duck hunting then. Neither was my father or my brother, so that's why we didn't take advantage of what we had. We had white-tailed deer out the wazoo. Hogs were, in the 80s and early 90s, the wild hogs were just getting going.
What? You guys could have saved America from the wild hogs. You could have just
It's funny
put the
that
kibosh on them right there.
I'm old enough to know what Texas was like before wild hogs, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Which now wild hogs are everywhere.
Yeah, they're all over the place. Do you have any quail out there?
No quail.
No quail at that time.
Dove, but we didn't really dove hunt till the late 90s, mid to late 90s.
Okay.
Where we set aside weekends to dove hunt. So
let's talk about fishing. Let's circle back on that. So you're in Port Arthur. You're working as a civil engineer. You're fishing. I'm assuming you're getting to some saltwater action.
Yeah. So
at that point in time,
growing up bass fishing, I always took my bass rod. In my dorms, I only had one, but my rod was in my dorm year round.
Yeah.
I never one
spin
rule.
Rod?
No, it was bait caster.
Bait caster.
Yep.
A bait caster.
Went into bait casting about year 13 or 14 of my life, seeing all the TV shows. Mm-hmm. I figured I'd put the spinning rod away. You start with the Zebco 303 Classics.
Mm-hmm.
You move up. My brother gave me a spinning rod when he was in college at TSTI, which is now I think TSTC.
Okay.
Texas State Technical College now. I don't know if it's still around.
Okay.
But he gave me a spinning rod. I had like a 4.5 foot crappie rod, with a spinning, something you get from Walmart because you didn't have Cabela's Bass Pro wasn't even around.
Yeah, it didn't exist then.
Then I graduated to the baitcaster because that's what all the professionals were using. So I figured I needed to do that. I wanted to get into fly fishing about, mid to late 90s when I was in high school.
Yep.
A lot of my bass fishing friends we were all wanting to get into fly fishing. But
was that when that movie came out?
I did.
It was.
Yep.
Yeah, it was that movie. Okay.
The river runs through it.
You said it. I wasn't going to say it.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, that movie piqued a lot of people's interest.
Well, yeah. I wanted to fly fish for bass.
Yeah.
And for me to get a fly rod, even then a cheap fly rod was hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, there wasn't the entry rods.
Yeah. So, I didn't get into fly fishing until after college when I could really afford.
That's when you bought your rod. Do you remember when you got your first rod?
So the first rod I got was gifted to me by a friend. I just graduated college. Some of my high school buddies went to A&M, and we all graduated college around the same time. We went to South Padre, and today one of those gentlemen on that is a business partner of mine.
Oh, cool.
And his high school buddy gifted me that first fly rod. Yeah, it was just an Orvis 2-piece.
Nice.
Graphite with a little bit of fiberglass. It was slow.
Yeah. And
it took me about a year or two to use it, which then I gifted that rod.
Was this a bass rod?
No, it was an 8-weight.
So, okay,
good 8-weight
saltwater.
Rod.
So you were using it on salt.
Yeah.
So you started fly fishing on salt.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So fast forward to college, my parents said you cannot have a boat because they knew if I had a boat during college, I would just be fishing. I just worked and fished.
Okay.
And I fished probably 2 to 3 nights.
Were you getting on boats at this point in time?
No, at that point, I had a few buddies that I met through running track and through college studies that.
So you were running track in college?
Yes, sir. I got a track scholarship.
Okay.
That's what kind of took me to Lamar. And that's a good story, but we can get into that later.
Yeah, that's another.
But yeah, in the summer times, I just fished. I mean, I would show up to work. I mean, like I had sand in my eyes because I stayed up till 2 or 3 o'clock fishing lighted piers in Sabine Pass.
Yeah, that's cool. Oh, so in Sabine Pass.
Sabine Pass, there was a Pleasure Pier. Pleasure Island is an island. It pretty much runs north and south, and Sabine Lake, still there today. I mean, it's a huge island.
Yeah.
And there was a public pier, and that's where some of my friends that I met through church and other things that.
So so you graduate college, you get your first fly rod as a gift from friends.
Yep.
But you don't have a boat yet, right?
At that time, I think I did.
You'd gotten a boat.
Pretty close to getting my first
kind of
boat.
Same time frame?
Same, yeah. I mean, it was within months.
What was your first boat?
So I wanted a Maverick. I wanted a Redfish.
Okay.
So I priced out a Maverick. At the time, was a HPXT. Couldn't afford it. So I decided to build my own. And my senior year...
Wait a minute. So you built your own boat, your first boat?
I was building my first boat.
Okay.
But while I'm building it, I bought my first boat.
Okay. All right.
So it's about the same time.
That's pretty cool, though.
And the cool part of Lamar is Lamar University, my senior year, I was voted president of American Society of Civil Engineers.
Okay.
And I got into...
That sounds like a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, not really, but... It depends who you are.
The
whatever.
American Society, so this is national.
It's a national organization.
Okay, and you were the president in your area.
Yeah. So my junior year, I was vice president.
Okay.
Senior year, they voted me. I don't know why, president, whatever.
Okay.
But when I got into civil engineering, there was a concrete canoe competition, which is a nationwide civil engineering competition against all the high-end civil engineering.
What is a concrete canoe?
So this is pretty much what started my drive to build the boats, was the American Society of Civil Engineers concrete canoe competition. And it's a nationwide competition. They even bring in schools from Mexico.
Oh, so it's international then.
Pretty
it's
much.
An international competition.
And all the universities that are, I mean, if you're a civil engineering university, you can compete in this. So we're competing against Clemson. Clemson always had a fast canoe and fast rowers.
These canoes are not built out of concrete, right?
Oh, yeah, they are.
What?
And so that's the cool part.
Wow.
So you get this set of rules from mixed designs. You can only do so much in it. Then you have to do a display. You have to write a paper, and you have to give a presentation. So it's training these engineering students to be engineers in the field when we graduate.
Yeah.
I mean, they give you a scope of work pretty much.
Yeah, okay.
And you have to follow their guidelines. So I just fell into this project. I just loved it because I get to build boats. And my senior year, being the president, in my drive for it, I took that on as my senior project. And I was the person in our group that managed our mixed designs. The actual shape of the canoe, we adopted it from the year before. It was a good shape. It was fast. So I didn't design the actual structure, or the shape of the canoe.
Yeah.
But I wanted to make the lightest boat that Lamar has ever made.
The lightest boat out of concrete. Yes. You're going to have to fill me in on how this makes sense.
Yeah, so in the scope of work, there's different ways you can do this lightweight. It's almost like a laminate schedule, but they give you these rules, and the lightweight comes from the aggregate. So you can use glass spheres, which is, instead of using sand or rock, you use a microscopic hollow glass sphere that it's lighter than sand or whatever. Okay. And then there's different additives that we used. You had different water ratios that you wanted to use. So I lived on campus at the time in an apartment, and I found myself in the lab 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night making cylinders, test cylinders. I would go to TxDOT and break them myself because our machine in our lab was so strong, it wouldn't break this lightweight cylinder.
Okay.
But the actual concrete itself would float. So when we would cure them, we would cure them in a water bath, and we had to set weights on them.
So you're curing cylinders?
Cylinders, because
Okay.
I'm trying to get, pounds per square inch. Yeah.
Cylinder? Okay.
Yeah. Just same way. I mean, if you poured a concrete slab for a road, house, you have to have so many cylinders per cubic yard to test break, you know. And when we built rail facilities, whatever, for these oil and gas, we broke them at 7 days, 28, or 7. Some wanted 14 days, but at least 7 and 28
Set
days.
time. So this is like you let it set.
So you have a standard, the Civil Engineering Society sets these standards for concrete breaks.
Okay.
And you always break them at 7 days and 28 days.
Okay.
So you break, and as you test all these, and of course I had feedback from other, years past. I had their mixed designs.
Yeah.
So I'm feeding off that data and I'm critiquing it to get this lightest, strongest per, square inch break that I can.
Do they have notes like, do this and we can beat Clemson?
The whole goal at Clemson and nationals in the, the late 90s, early 2000s, they were building 75 to 80 pound canoes that are 15 foot long.
Wow.
And previous to me, or previous to 2002, Lamar's group, I don't want to say it's all me because we had a team, right? Yeah. But me being the guy that was in the lab making these mixed designs, our canoe is, I don't remember, it was like 95, 98, 105 pound, but it's still 15 foot long.
Wow.
So today, even a fiberglass or a plastic, roto-molded canoe weighs more than our concrete canoe.
Yeah. So was this the first boat? This is the boat you were building when you bought your boat? Or
No, this is in college. This is way before my first fishing boat. This is all fun and...
This is, for this competition. Right. Hold on. I want to hear about how the competition turned out. So you're working on this concrete canoe, which just sounds like an oxymoron altogether. Like, how'd you guys do? How did it turn out?
So that's the cool part is lightest canoe Lamar ever built.
Okay.
We took it to competition.
Okay.
What's cool about not just building it, you race it against, you actually paddle it against other schools. So we gave the presentation. I'm, at the time, not really a good public speaker. Probably not these days. I don't get as nervous these days. I could stand up in front of anybody right now.
Yeah.
But back then, I'm bashful, Brian. And the night before, in the hotel room, and I'm clamming up. I can't get this presentation down. And I remember one of my best friends who was vice president, who was my study partner through college, and he's like, Brian, what are you nervous about? You know this better than anybody here. Stand up and tell us your story.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do. The next day, knocked it out of the park.
Nice.
I mean, just when I started talking, the room just lit up. I could see people from, not even Lamar, not my parents, not my peers, light up when I started talking about it.
Yeah.
So I think they could feel the passion.
Yeah.
And I get a little emotional through this. Sorry. But that was one of the guys, he just pushed me through it.
Yeah.
And the presentation went good. I was first in the presentation.
Oh, awesome.
And, we had a paper we had to write. I didn't write it because I'm not good at that.
So somebody else wrote the paper.
Yeah. We fed them the information. They were part of the team.
Yep.
And we got first on the paper.
What? Oh, man.
Everything's going good. Yeah, it's stacking up. And we had a display that we had a few tweaks in it. Then we go to races. We won every race but like one.
What?
And me and Jason, who's my study partner, we were the speed guys. We could paddle.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so we won all that. We go to final. You had to show it, your final presentation of the whole canoe.
I'm on the edge of my seat right now. I'm not looking for. I'm looking for a good outcome here.
It rained on us, and it filled up our canoe. which when you fill up a boat, it's not good, right? Things flex.
Yeah.
So
this is final presentation.
Final presentation right before the races. We show up that morning to the races in our canoe. We didn't know it when we trailered it. And we trailered it like 30 miles or 20 miles to the lakes with like 8 inches of water in it.
Oh no.
And it's flexing, and concrete flexing's not good. Oh, no. So it had some cracks in it because of that water. We got second place to A&M. All you Aggies out there.
Oh no.
Hoorah, whatever y'all say. We got second by like 4 or 5 points out of 200 to 300 points. Anyway, long story short, it was the lightest canoe that Lamar built to date, or to that date. I don't know if they built one lighter since then, but we ended up getting second place to A&M.
Oh man,
it was a good showing.
That was the first boat you ever built.
That was the first one.
Craft.
I'm talking. When we went to build it, I mean, we had a way we were laying down the concrete. Yeah. I had laminate schedules of, the structural fabric we were using.
Okay.
I was studying carbon back then. I was calling vendors all over the U.S. Every week. I would just get on the phone, and my professor gave me a key to his office, and I would just get on the phone and call.
You're the kind of guy who dives into things. In the time that I've known you, I know that you're the type of guy who gets hyper-focused.
What was cool is the dean of civil engineering saw that, and he's in charge of all the scholarship money.
Yeah.
In my senior year, he's like gave me a scholarship, which was just hundreds of dollars, but for me that was food money.
Yeah.
To get paid
it's a lot of ramen.
Dive into this, and he's like, Brian, that's your senior project. I'm going to give you this scholarship you don't even know about to help pay for your time, and I don't know. It was good to be paid for fruits of my labor because I was representing the university, and that canoe went on display, and not to win or not to win was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But it was a life lesson, and we
confidence
learned from
builder too. It sounds like you gained confidence.
Well, you're developing a team. You have a team underneath you.
So you graduate, you got a fly rod, you want a boat, you've already built a canoe. So you're building a boat. Mm-hmm. 2 questions. One, and you bought a boat because you were pretty much just chomping to get out on.
Yeah, I needed a fish.
Yeah,
but I needed to build my own.
What did you wind up buying?
So it was a tri-hull bass boat.
Okay,
15 foot long. That a friend of mine I met at church sold me. They put a brand new 50 horse Johnson on it.
Okay,
they sold it to me for the price of the motor.
Nice. Do you remember how much that was?
$3,500.
That's great, man.
And I'm selling $80,000 to $100,000 boats right now.
Yeah, we're getting there. Yeah, we're gonna get there.
So Texas scooter boat. This is to
what's
give
a
me,
Texas scooter?
It was flat.
Tell us what that is.
It was not a. It was a flat decked. Really, it was to get me to point A to point B. It was a tunnel hull, run shallow as I could. I fished that boat for 3 years.
What kind of engine would you have on that?
That one, I got a 30 horse Honda.
Okay.
I wanted a short shaft, the lightest 30 horse. And at the time, Honda built the lightest.
Is this a fiberglass hull? Is this a...
This one was epoxy built fiberglass, and I actually put some Kevlar in it.
Okay. And to handle the hits.
Yeah.
That you take. So you've built your boat. Where do you go from here? So you're working as a civil engineer. You're building train terminals. Yeah.
At the time, I was more drainage studies and sewer, sanitary, water lines.
Fishing as much as you can
all the time.
Had you built another boat or two before you realized, man, this is what I want to do?
So in my first scooter was a V-shaped, bow. Still had hull slap. Didn't really know anything about pulling a boat.
Look, for people who don't know, what's hull slap?
Hull slap you get from the easiest way to describe it is a square nose boat. It's the waves when they hit a boat, it makes a clapping noise.
Okay.
Not only can you hear it, fish can hear it. It starts a pressure wave in front of the boat, and it spooks fish. So my first boat, after becoming a fly fisherman, I built a boat that's not conducive to fly fishing. Even though I put a poling platform on it, it pulled like an inner tube.
So you built this to fly fish off?
No, the first boat was to get me to point A to B.
But you put a polling platform
and I put a polling platform on it because it was already built. Put a polling platform on it. Me and a few friends fly fished off of it. I quickly learned, and I had the materials. If I'd have built that boat 3 to 4 foot longer, it would have been a better length to width ratio to track better.
Yep.
Would have still had hull slap unless I did some things to the bow to stop that. But over time, I learned what it took to make a no hull slap boat, and I went into production. I thought I was 25 years old, pulled out some money. How I got it, that's another story. But
so did you leave engineering for a little bit to do this? No, so you were still working as an engineer.
Right.
You're building this boat. Things get sideways.
Getting the company
gets
going.
all
I met my
left.
wife. She's helping me build this warehouse, redoing floors, redid the office, all this sweat equity into this building. I already had, for the first boat, I had the trailer, a lot of the motor rigging, stuff like that.
Okay.
And Kayla and I built our first Poland skiff.
What did you build this
At
out
home.
of?
So I went from high-end composites. I mean, the first boat, I literally touched the hull, the deck. This boat weighed 500, 550, and it was 17 foot long.
Okay.
Vacuum infused. This was, East Cape was just getting going. I probably would have been top 4 boat builder in the U.S. for skiffs.
Yeah.
As far as lightweight and stuff. And because of money and everything else, and I know what a hull slap boat can do, I bought marine grade plywood. We used polyester resin, which is not good to work in, breathing it. And Kayla and I built it with a couple days when I needed to do big laminates. I'd bring some friends in.
Yeah.
But for the most part, Kayla and I built the first Poland skiff out of Akuma plywood, polyester resin, and fiberglass. And there was a few boat builders out there that had wooden boats. So design, we need to use 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch bulkheads and a 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch bottom. And I took their design and dumbed it down to see how light I could build this boat. Just 3/8 plywood.
So you got a
lightweight deck.
You have a light
I built
boat.
this 18-foot plywood boat. I never weighed it, but I've painted that boat 3 times because I was hard on it.
You still have it?
No, I cut it up with a chainsaw.
You did?
We fished it about 4 to 5 years.
Tell me that story. Come on.
We fished it 4 to 5 years. I fished tournaments in it. High-end Redfish Cup tournaments in that boat.
So 25 to 30. 25 to 30. You fished it for 5 years.
Yeah.
From about 25 to 30 years old.
Yes.
Okay.
And so, I'm late 20s. Kayla and I are married and fished that boat. I was about to build another one, and I was like, I need to learn from it. I don't see cracks, but I'm wondering, is there a crack here? Is there a crack there? And I took a chainsaw to it. And that was, Kayla still remembers, he's like, that was hard to watch.
Oh, boy.
And
this is the first thing you guys ever built together, I'm assuming.
Oh, I got pictures of us in our first dog, Jackson, our first lab that she had in college. In the boat.
Oh, we need to get some of those pictures.
Yeah, then we had, Sabine was in it, riding in it, or another lab.
Yeah. So you had a lab named Sabine?
Which is another story. Ultralight Boat Works was the company.
Yep.
And when I was about the end of the wooden boat design, about to build a high-end composite boat to potentially build production molds off of, I formulated an idea that let's name this brand Sabine Skiffs. And this is, like I said, 2008, 2007.
Okay.
Maybe?
17 years ago.
And that boat was titled a Sabine Skiff. And when we went to pick up our lab that we found on southeasttexas.com, free lab.
Yeah.
And on the way home, Kayla's like, well, we need to name this lab. And we were passing through Beaumont. And I said, Kayla, what about Sabine? And Sabine Skiffs was already, in my mind. But Kayla's like, that's a pretty cool name for a dog. So Sabine grew up since it has passed as we developed Sabine Skiffs into the aluminum boats and everything. So she has a
it's a special dog.
She has a big
special
place
time.
in my heart, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so having a dog named Sabine, I'm building Sabine Skiff brand from nothing. To the industry, it was nothing at the time. So that was kind of cool.
When did you build? So you cut this wooden boat up with a chainsaw.
Yeah.
Which is just
heartbreaking to some people.
I mean, you're an engineer.
You gotta learn.
You're an engineer.
I'm always trying to learn from my mistakes or someone else's or whatever.
Yeah. So you break it all apart. Did you build another wooden boat, or is this when you shifted to aluminum? When did you shift to aluminum?
So the next boat was, I told Kaylor, I said, I'm going to make a one-off boat that's going to look like a production boat.
Okay.
So I made one-off molds, all this stuff before anyone else on the internet was doing it. And I made that composite boat. It was 18 foot long. It wasn't real wide. It was like 400 pounds.
Okay.
And high-end, foam cores, but it was still fiberglass boat. And fished that for another 4 or 5 years. But while building that boat, another friend of mine had an aluminum boat that we fished tournaments in. I told him, I said, I think I can build an aluminum boat that has no hull slab. Because the shape has nothing to do with materials. Did it not exist
before that point in time?
No one to this date. I haven't seen a boat that had no hull slab, and I haven't seen an aluminum boat that had no hull slab. Once I put the website up and launched Sabine Skiffs, I had a few people email me. Oh no, I had built the first one, and I saw a picture of their boat. And I'm like, no, that boat would have hull slab here, and I argued with these people, but. So fast forward, we built this composite boat, went to other projects and whatever, and moved back to Texas.
So you decide, I'm going to build a no hull slab aluminum skiff, and you go to build your first one.
Yeah.
Did it look like the skiffs that we buy today?
It looked very similar. It did have a variable dead rise bottom. So the boats you have, the boats we build now, they're flat bottom. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's one sheet of aluminum on the bottom. Mm-hmm. The first one was a variable dead rise, so it had a weld all the way down the middle to get the V.
And a V all the way down the middle of it. Okay.
Which kind of scares you because a weld could fail hitting that much vibration. Yeah. One reason we do a flat bottom boat and some other reasons. But the first one looked, and it was in my shop. It's in my shop now, actually, getting a new motor.
Is it really?
Yeah.
So you did not
a customer
cut that with a torch.
I sold that one.
Because couldn't cut it with a chainsaw.
Yeah.
I mean,
sold that one.
Is this the first boat you sold?
The first one-off boat I did sell, and it's still to the original owner in Savannah, Georgia.
So this is the first out of all these other 5, the concrete canoe, all these. This is the first boat you sold.
The one-off boat I sold.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Which is still with that customer.
Still fishing it today.
He's on his third Sabine. He has a carbon on order. So he's bought the first one-off.
He's a collector.
He's bought an aluminum boat. He sold his aluminum boat a few months ago, and he has a carbon on order.
Oh, nice. You're building a community as you're going. Clearly from college to where you are now.
Some of my college roommates got me jobs.
Yeah.
They didn't give me jobs because whatever. It's all because of hard work and determination and your will.
Yeah, you're not just a boat builder. You're a community builder.
Yeah.
And Sabine is a community.
Yeah.
Sabine Skiffs is a community. Yeah. So when's the trigger point? When do you decide?
So
I'm quitting.
I don't know what year it was, but it's been at least 3 or 4 years ago.
So this is not that long ago where you really said, "Man, I am Sabine's full time."
Yeah. Kaylor, we started a C-deck flooring company.
Yep.
So that's another venture we got into.
Yep.
That was a really good for Texas, and we were the first C-deck rep in Texas.
Yeah.
Ever. Kaylor was.
Yeah.
So she had that up and going, and she's pulling in income. It was, to this day, she never wanted me to leave oil and gas.
It's a good check.
I had a super good check.
Yeah.
I had everything, 401k. I had long-term incentives, bonuses, things like that. That's hard to walk away from.
Sure.
But what I told her is, we never had children. So, we don't need a lot to live on. Right. I mean, at the time we save a lot. We put a lot of investments.
You're no stranger to sacrifice.
Right.
Clearly, in all the talking we've done, you're willing to sacrifice to do the things you love.
So to take that leap, I mean, she didn't even want me to do it, but her company was going. The skiff company was there to support me, and with oil and gas was just right. The sales were there, everything was there, and it worked out. But even the first year of me working for Sabine, I worked for her. So I'm actually a laborer for her C-Deck company while managing Sabine, managing my
So the C-Deck is bigger than Sabine at this point in time.
At that point it was. Yeah.
How about now?
I'm a little over. We have a competition every year. I've beat her the past 2 years.
Okay.
But yeah, she creeps up on me.
So you're building aluminum skiffs. They're rock solid. I own one.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm so glad that I got one. You know, we called, you and I talked back and forth many times, and it just worked out where one became available, and you know, I was in the right position, and it all worked out. But now you're carbon.
Yeah, so you fall back, and now we're building this composite skiff, which is out of, all carbon. And you have a lot of people going, well, why are you going to stop building aluminum?
Are you stopping?
No. Yeah, but they think because I'm building a composite boat that I'm going to stop doing aluminum.
You're doing both.
Oh, 100%. Why not? Yeah. Why not? We have such a good following for aluminum, but my background for 20 years has been composites from even college.
Talk to me about both these boats. So clearly you believe in both materials, aluminum and composite carbon. Who's the aluminum boat for? Who's the carbon boat for? What's the difference? How does it all make sense?
So with your foam core composites, which is how we're building our aluminum boats, what I learned from Andy, I mean, he built some of the lightest sailboats in the 70s. He built composite race car chassis that weighed hundreds of pounds lighter than aluminum chassis and stiffer. So he's the one that taught me about the foam core composites and things like that. So the aluminum guys are someone who's looking for a rugged boat, whether it's a river skiff that they're going to take on sandbars and rock gravel bars and run over whatever.
That's me.
Yeah. You're going to drift down a river, and if you have to go down a gravel bar, you don't want to have gel coat and everything taken off. Yeah. So that's our aluminum customers. And, in the Poland, or not river skiff, your guys on the flats, they like it because of the oysters. They don't tear it up at the dock. Some of our guys are older gentlemen who have kids, and they don't mind their kids running the aluminum boats versus their high-end yacht finish carbon boat they might buy. And then you have some guys in Florida that have a lot of limestone and shell bottoms that rip holes in the composite boats.
Yeah.
East Coast guys, that are fishing the flood tides or super low tides because they might have a 6-foot tide variation or 8-foot. So they like the aluminum boats because of the ruggedness of it.
What is the wildest, craziest place you ever heard of a Sabine skiff going?
One of them I took it down.
Okay.
Was one of my friends and I thought of this plan to take a Sabine from Austin all the way down the Colorado River to Matagorda, where it empties into Matagorda Bay.
Yeah.
And we did it. We knew because of some dams that we couldn't get around because of LCRA. We sank it at Garwood.
You sunk it at Garwood?
Sunk it. Yeah, it's on Instagram.
Is this just north of Garwood?
No, well, it's south of Garwood proper. South of the Garwood.
There's a dam down there.
There's a Garwood
It's a boat
dam.
Eater?
Sir?
It's a boat eater.
On low flows. On high flows, you can go over it.
Okay.
This was a low flow time of year, and we flipped it back. Anyway, I lost the jet motor, so I was running a prop motor. So if I had my jet, I probably could have just ran it down this.
Got up on plane and just
ran it down
over the top of it.
So instead of doing it, because we had a prop motor at the time of the trip, we just wanted to walk the boat down So it sounds good, but it was pretty, it didn't look good on video. But we walked it down. The rear end, the transom caught a rock, bow swung around, filled up with water.
Oh, no.
We called a few guys. I called the rancher. We pulled it out with a tractor, and we were on the water the next day.
Got it back up and running. Aluminum boat.
The motor never went under. The whole boat went under. I'd say 80% of the boat went underwater.
Oh, boy.
Because it was shallow.
Yeah.
Little shallow run. That was a good selling point.
Yeah.
I didn't mean it to be a good. I thought the boat was going to break in too. Honestly, when we hooked the tractor and the chains up to it, I thought the boat would
come
creak.
apart.
Yeah, 100%.
But really it didn't.
And it didn't. And we pulled it up, put it on a trailer, and the next morning we put it in a Bay City.
So one of the most craziest rides was your ride down the Colorado River. Yeah. But what about your border to bayou?
Yeah, so the year after that, we called it, the first one was Capital to Coast.
Oh.
Austin to the coast.
Okay.
And I'll never forget that trip. So the following year, I just jumped in full time. Me and Kayla are working. We're full time Ultralight Boat Works and her L&L Services seat deck company. I formulated this plan. Let's go border to bayou. So I'm talking to friends, and then when the time came, Kayla and I both agreed that I can't be gone for a week. Like, I'm needed to do work. So Owen Gaylor, who's on Sabine, his third Sabine, he has carbon number 2. Alex Hotze, who's had his aluminum Sabine, he bought carbon 1, the prototype.
Wow.
And then 2 other guys who are Sabine owners also went and did this trip without me. So I'm sitting back. I'm like, I'm on edge the whole time.
Were you jealous?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
jealous.
Man.
Each boat shared their, on iPhone, you can share your location.
Yeah.
So I'm following them every day while I'm working my oil and gas job, running Sabine.
Oh, man.
And then I'm texting them, where you at? How's this going? And this one spot from Rockport to, they stayed one night at Copano Bay. I know when they made that pass or that run, that was going to be like the sketchiest, roughest part. And I remember watching Alex's little emblem or whatever, his location monitor, and he's rounding to go into Copano Bay, and it sets still for like an hour. And I'm having flashbacks of Garwood Dam. And I'm like, dude, he sunk his boat going into Copano Bay. Oh, and I'm texting and no answer. And I'm texting. I see Owen. He's smart move. He's running around the South Shoreline, coming in, lining up, and all smooth. And all of a sudden, Alex's location popped up at the house they were staying at.
Oh, man.
Like his iPhone gave up or whatever. So, I'm having anxiety watching them. But that was a cool trip. When they got to Port O'Connor, they decided, because of 7 days, it's still not long enough to run the coast. You can run it, but it's like our river trip. You're running 6 hours of the 8-hour day. Yeah. You're staying out late. You're tired because the sun's beating you down. And they're anyway.
That's more than the river trip because that's coastal sun.
Yeah,
and salt.
It's beating them up. So they decided to stay 2 days in Port O'Connor to actually fish and spend time in there because a lot of them knew that area. And one of my customers who lived in the neighborhood with me was starting to fly his own planes and stuff. And I asked him, I said, what do you think if we drop a package out of a plane to these guys?
In the ocean?
Yeah. And he goes, I'm in. So we took an airplane. We left out of port right there by the shop. We left out of the airport. I got a Yeti Panga, like a 65, whatever. I don't forget their sizes.
Yeah.
I had a case of Lone Star beer, had a turtle box. I had Zumo boudin, Zumo sausage from Beaumont, which I'm friends now with the Zumos, which is like a whole circle because I ate that during college.
Oh, cool.
All this stuff, and I wasn't friends with them. I bought all this stuff. Yeah. I bought them Whataburger, like all Texas stuff. And I'm dropping this, and we circled, I can't ever say it, but Esperterio, whatever the bay is, there in front of Port O'Connor, and we dropped down to about 90 foot and about 90 to 80 knots. And I opened the door and pushed this Yeti bag out right on top of them. And it hits the bay, but it hits the bay, it bounces 4 times, and it didn't explode. So I'm thinking it landed good.
Yeah.
And we circle and we circle and we see the skiffs, converge around this deal.
Yeah.
And we go land Port Lavaca and we jump in the courtesy car for the airport and we go have dinner with them in Port O'Connor. And the Yeti bag zipper popped open.
Oh, no.
So the turtle box was donezo. It didn't blow up. The innards gave. But I'll shout out to Turtle Box. They built some awesome stuff.
Yeah, but 90
the
feet.
The shell was good, but speakers and all
The inside from the concut.
12, I say out of 12 of the Lone Stars, only about 4 were drinkable because the impact just blew them up inside there.
So the Whataburger's shot.
Whataburger's
at this
wet.
Point in time.
It's wet,
It's
but
got
we still
beer
have pictures of them like eating Whataburger because they were so hungry. It was late in the day. The Zumos were still good because they're
they're
in
wrapped.
package. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was, how many times do you ever get to drop a package out of an airplane to your buddies?
Well,
so I thought that was kind of
unless you work for the cartel.
Yeah. And we circled the bay so many times, they were probably catching on thinking we were dropping something.
Yeah, I know.
Crazy.
I'm surprised you guys didn't have the DEA.
We tried to land on the islands, but we couldn't get clearance. Through some of my customers, I probably could have got clearance from the DEA and everything too. But anyway. But yeah, so we went and had dinner with them and hoorah'd, and then we flew back like a night flight all the way home.
And then did those guys go on from there all the way?
And they went all the way to Sabine, yeah. And the last day, I drove the first river skiff. They landed at my house day 6. And so at Bayou Vista, they slept in my house. And then from my house, we all left and went from West Galveston Bay to Orange, Texas.
Let's do it again, man.
Yeah. Owen and I have talked to do the first 2 carbons. So we'll get your carbon and we'll do all 3 of them.
Do all 3 carbons.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't know if my river skiff could do that.
I would do it.
Well,
with the jets, it'd be a little slow, but
yeah, prop would be
we'll have to run
a
your
little
carbon
more
on that one.
proper. I don't know, my 90-60.
Owen's joke
cook
was
with that thing.
When we get the first 2 or our first carbons, that we'll do it again. So,
I'd be in. I would love to. I would love to go on that trip.
That's a hell of an event.
We should do that like in September.
Yeah.
We'll dove hunt, and then we'll get on the boats.
Yeah. There you go.
Like right after South Zone opens.
Yeah. And then we'll teal hunt in East Texas.
Oh yeah. There you go. We can go to Campo Paloma. We'll do our Campo Paloma. At the end of our Campo Paloma, we'll vamos out of there and roll. That'd be so much fun. Yeah, we could teal hunt.
Just talking about hunting, we haven't really hit on you and our bird passion, but
yeah, I don't know. We'll get there. And this one is. So, what's next for Sabine? You guys you're there.
So the carbon boats they're not set, they're not done. We might do a few different variations of boats, but we've kind of found our niche in the market. We're going to stick with it. Backlog strong. Our customers still strong base coming in. And with the composite part of our company, we're going to grow it to equalize the aluminum. Mm-hmm. We have 1 carbon skiff size out right now. We'll make 1 to 2 more variations of it, just like we do our aluminum skiffs. So,
well, they're amazing boats. I'm going to ask you a couple strange questions. One, if you were a cocktail, what kind of cocktail would you be? And it could just be a straight booze. It could be a cocktail. What would you be?
It depends what time of year.
Oh, man.
Can I have variation with year or
first
time
one
of year?
that comes to your mind, and then we'll go from there. We can throw a season.
I'm going to go with, right now, it's a gin and tonic.
Gin and tonic, summertime.
Yep. I like it light.
A little
crispy.
effervescent.
Yep.
A little lime. That's your personality. That's
Right
who
now.
Brian. Okay,
It makes me happy. I'm a lucky go guy with my gin and tonic.
Nice. I like a good topo and tequila.
Yeah, I had a lot of them this weekend.
Nothing wrong with
hunting
that.
axes. I've been told they hydrate you while they dehydrate you.
Well, if you do the mixture right, you're riding the balance.
Yeah,
you're riding the wave.
Joke, but yeah.
You know, listen, I make ranch waters, and here's what I do. I use key limes, and I throw them in, and when my glass, and I don't pour them out. Each key lime stays in, each little half key lime.
It gets better. That's how I do my
when
gin
my
and tonic.
glass is too full of key limes that I can't make another drink, that's when I know it's time to go to bed.
Yeah, that's a good ratio. I like
Man, that's a lot of key limes. I can't even make another drink in there anymore. Yeah. If you could run a Sabine anywhere in the world, where would you run it? Anywhere.
So, if I'm ever If I'm ever able to retire and build my last 2 boats,
Yeah.
I'm going to build a carbon and I'm going to build a river skiff. Aluminum river skiff, carbon. I'm going to have it on a trailer, a hinged trailer. The carbon's going to be on top. The river skiff's going to be on the bottom. I will likely have a raft on there too that I probably won't build. But I would probably leave Texas in August, and I'm going to hit grouse, elk. I'm going to circle. I'm going to go up, the Colorado, Idaho, Montana, and then I'm going to hit woodcock coming down. Wintertime in Florida, I'm going to make a circle. So there's not one. I'm going to.
The big circle.
I would do that. I would make the circle, and I would. Whatever bird hunting I could do that time of year, from elk hunting to tarpon, and then come back to Texas. I know that's
I'd take that rodeo with you.
That would be a fun.
I've been dreaming about that hinge trailer.
So it's doable. I mean, it's
the
carbon would be on top.
I've been
lighter.
dreaming about that.
You'd have to undo the bottom one.
Now mine's a
unload
raft.
the bottom one. But
Yeah.
I think I would have 3 boats. I would have the aluminum on the bottom, carbon on top, and then I would have about a 10.
Like a rolled up
small
raft somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sabine raft might be coming up. Yeah.
Sabine drift. That'd be pretty sick.
We built a 10-foot drift boat for my nephews in New Braunfels, and they haven't used it to its potential because they're a little scared of some of the rapids. But
I want a Sabine drift. Let's talk about that. Let's visit about a Sabine drift, man.
12 to 14-foot river jet.
I mean, I have a garage in Idaho, northern Idaho, near Coeur d'Alene, that's begging for a Sabine drift to be sitting in it when I get up there in the summer. Brian, this has been badass. Yeah, I mean, this is the history of Sabine laid down. Like, I don't know if you've ever laid it out like that before, but it's here.
Not that much.
And hopefully you're staying at the ranch and we can go.
Yeah. We'll go
have a couple beverages.
We'll go show me the other side. You showed me one side of it and the future of the place. And I've always enjoyed your company. I mean, who can't when they hang around you and you drive around this place and the vision for it. So thanks for having us. Thanks for letting Fisher and Kaylor come, and hopefully we can revisit and show you how Fisher holds a little bit better now.
Dude, it's going to be awesome. I can't wait to see her all grown up as a hunter. And let's hunt woodcock this season.
Oh, we're going to, I have a good Sabine story set up, which we're launching a YouTube channel called the Sabine Stories.
Yeah, stoked about that.
We're interviewing our clients, talking to them about their day-to-day life, what they do for a living, their family life, why they bought a Sabine, how they set their Sabine up, and then we'll either go fishing or hunting with them. And Mikey, he bought our first aluminum skiff, sold it, bought another one, so he was our first repeat customer, put me and Fisher on our first woodcock. And Owen turned me on to him. So, I mean, it's just client after client and friend after friend.
It's a community. You have a community. I've said it a couple times. Sabine is a community. Sabine Skiffs is a community. And the thing, I've hung out with Owen. I love that guy. I did not get to fish with him this summer, and I'm bummed about it. Owen, we got to fix that. We can't go another summer without fishing. Let's go hunt woodcock off the boats.
I've got places.
I'm so in. I saw a couple of like glimmers in your Instagram.
We scouted a lot last year, and they're very
I'm
close
so into that idea. Yeah. I mean, I got setters. Setters love woodcock. Let's get you guys back here in the fall, and we'll shoot a Wildly Gourmet.
There you go.
That's right. I just let it slip. Something. I don't know if it'll be out when this comes out. Maybe not. Maybe it will. But there it is. Wildly Gourmet is a thing we're working on.
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Josh. I appreciate it.